First thing people thought when the Memphis Grizzlies fired their coach was, oh, Ja Morant's got something to do with this. Teams don't fire coach without input from the biggest star, so what happened? Well, this guy, Taylor Jenkins, was the winningest coach in franchise history. They were a 4 seed with 9 games in the playoffs. That never happens. Okay, the Hawks did it twice, 81 and 76, but they were nowhere near the playoffs. And if you expand it to more than 9 games left, 2 other playoff teams have done it the last 50 years. The Nets, with KD and Kyrie, who wanted to handpick their next head coach. So what happened in Memphis? Well, we are finally getting some answers. So 2 years ago, the Grizz were coming off yet another 2 seed with high expectations, but the Lakers smacked them in the first round. A big problem? Their half-court offense. When Memphis had fewer transition plays, their offense got bogged down. So the front office fired most of Jenkins' staff and hired a new Euro named Tomasi Salo and a guy named Noah LaRoche from the Spurs who installed a crazy new offense. Thinking basketball shows how most NBA teams look like this, right? I mean, they use screens to create an advantage. In the 80s and 90s, it was all about the post-up, where a big man would play near the basket. But watch the 2025 Grizz. Do you notice anything? There are no screens. It's like 5 dudes playing isolation basketball, which is crazy. And at first, the Grizz had a top 5 offense and defense, hallmark of a contender. But something weird happened. That top 5 defense has been 20th over the last 40 games. The offense is fine, but Ja Morant hates it. He thrives on driving to the rim off of a screen. I mean, they drafted 7'4" Zach Edey to be a pick and roll partner with Ja. What pick and roll? Instead, Ja's turning the ball over trying to post up Edey for the most turnovers of Ja's career. And on defense, Edey is to blame for some of this breakdown. Like against the Knicks, the game plan was clearly to attack and put Edey in pick and roll as much as possible. I mean, he's been good as a rookie, but struggles to guard elite point guards in pick and roll, lacks the foot speed to meet the ball at the level of the screen, and overcommits to the ball to give up dimes to the roller. But for Ja on offense, his numbers are down across the board. He was All-NBA in 2022, got MVP votes that year and 2023, but now, dude is playing below All-Star level, which is crazy for the future face of the league. Yes, injuries have something to do with that, but so does this offense. An anonymous Grizzlies source said, some days he's look like he's ready to play, and some days he looks like he doesn't want to be there because he hates the offense. So did Ja walk in and demand they fire his head coach? Well, GM Zach Kleiman says, no, he made the decision all by himself without Ja. But that's what he would say so that Ja doesn't have to face heat from the media. But another Grizzlies source said Ja was shocked and said out loud, oh shit, when he found out. Because apparently, Ja was surprised. He loves Taylor Jenkins. So why would they fire the coach, even though their best player loved him? Well, the breaking point happened 1 month ago. After this, there was no coming back. In 3 straight games, coaching burned the Grizz. Against New York, Jenkins set Ja up to fail by defending Jalen Brunson. It's a mismatch, so the Memphis defense breaks down, sending extra help, leading to a wide open OG Anunoby 3 to lose the game. And the very next night, against the Spurs, Edey, again in the game with under a minute to go, so you'd probably guess, yeah, the Spurs put him in pick and roll against De'Aaron Fox, leading to a mismatch and 3 points. But the final play of the game was even more bizarre. Fox is looking to dribble out the clock to get the final shot, but look how Jenkins on the right side of the screen is motioning for Pippen to come in to double the ball, which you do in the final seconds, not 10 seconds left. So De'Aaron's got time to give up the ball, get it back, and now he knows where the double is gonna come from. So De'Aaron can just explode to his strong left hand, get away from the help, and pull up for the win. And the next game against Atlanta, coaching fails again. Jaren Jackson and Ja were out, so offense was the problem. On the final 3 possessions, Memphis is gonna put Luke Kennard in pick and roll, so the Hawks switch and eat up that action. Then the ball gets kicked out to Vince Williams, who gets completely swallowed by the defense. Not good, but with the game tied and the offense clearly struggling to create, you call a timeout to draw something up. Look, there are 2 timeouts remaining, but instead Jenkins lets Desmond Bane go ISO against Dyson Daniels, possibly Defensive Player of the Year, which kills the game. That is 3 straight last-second losses. Hadn't happened since 2002 because of coaching. So despite their good start, Memphis has lost 11 of 19 since the All-Star break, are terrible against good teams. I mean, if you've got a winning record, the Grizzlies don't stand a chance. Desmond Bane shoving his own teammates during timeouts. Every team in the West is praying to face the Grizzlies or the Rockets in the first round. The Rockets because they're a young team. The Grizz because they're not that good. So if they lose in the first round again, what happens next?
Constantly checking in with executives around trade deadline about like what's next, and somebody out of the blue said, keep an eye on Ja this summer. Again, you know, they're young enough. They should have plenty of runway. But again, in this league, you never have as much runway as you think you're going to have. And Ja's obviously had some issues. At a certain point, teams will pivot.
Oh, people thought that rumor was fake at the time, but firing a head coach that Ja loved without even asking him about it is suspicious. Is it possible the Grizzlies do not even care if Ja is happy? I mean, their star is the closest thing to Derrick Rose in today's NBA. Both guys are athletic, burst to the rim, and slash with an amazing finish. Neither relies on the three-point shot to get their numbers. Above average playmakers, but also the injuries. Forget Ja's off-court drama, his availability is the real problem. After his second year in the league, Ja has missed at least a quarter of the season with injury or suspension. He kind of reminds you of Kawhi Leonard. Like, what is the ceiling of a Kawhi Leonard team these days? And Ja doesn't even have the championship pedigree of Kawhi. So maybe the Grizz are asking themselves, how far can we really go with this guy as our number one player? I mean, they fired Taylor Jenkins and promote Tomas Isalo, the guy who installed this crazy offense that Ja hates. So they are doubling down on something that Ja cannot stand. Does that sound like a team that is excited about keeping him? No. Now, part of this was firing that Noah LaRoche assistant guy who loved the no-screen offense. But if you looked at their first game against the Lakers with Tomas Isalo as their head coach, there were some screens for Ja, but not a ton. It is still a red flag. I would not be shocked if Ja was on the trade block this offseason, especially if they lose in the first round again. And one team that could go after him is the Miami Heat. Does anyone actually think that that franchise is going to rebuild? No, that would mean moving Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. Miami always gets some big name star. Well, we've got even more reason to believe that that's going to happen after a gigantic rumor just came out about how they plan to replace Jimmy Butler.